Distribution provided by Cloud Sigma, the cloud that adapts to you. Visit cloudsigma.com/thisweekend for a free $200 credit.
Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by MailChimp. Manage lists with up to 2,000 subscribers and send up to 12,000 emails per month for free with MailChimp. And by Squarespace. Use the promo code TWiST9 when signing up to save 10%.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis, and this is This Week in Startups. It's going to be our news roundtable. We've got a lot to talk about. Goodreads has been purchased. We had the Donglegate, SendGrid, a whole big thing at PyCon. Lots of stories going on here. BlackBerry is actually coming back from the dead. And we've got two amazing gentlemen here to discuss it. Baratunde and Anthony Ha of TechCrunch are here. Kirin Kali is going to read the news, and it's going to be an amazing episode. Lots to discuss, lots of controversy. It's going to be a great episode. Stick with us.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis. This is This Week in Startups, the show where we talk about startup companies, technology, entrepreneurship, putting a dent in the universe, trying to make things that make people's lives better, trying to create, not hate, trying to build, trying to fail fast, all that kind of great stuff. Insert your favorite entrepreneurial colloquialism. But hey, listen, the show is doing great. We're 300 episodes in, and we're still having technical problems. No, we're 300 episodes in, and the show is totally leveled up. We had David Heinemeier-Hansen.
Heinemeier-Hansen, that's right.
Heinemeier-Hansen on for the second round. That was an amazing episode. We had Gary Vaynerchuk on the show 3 times. We had Tony Hsieh from Zappos on the show twice. We've had Chamath on the show. We've had Chris Sacca on the show. David Sachs.
David Cohen,
Sarah Lacey. I mean, the show is doing amazing. We have great guests. I'm starting to sound like Donald Trump.
No, you don't have the hair for Donald Trump.
I don't have the bad hair?
No, thank God.
The show is #1 on NBC, #1 show on television. I mean, listen, I don't mean to crow about the show, but we do have amazing guests. And today is no different. Baratunde Thurston is on the show. You follow him on Twitter at Baratunde. Great guy, really smart. It's the first appearance, so it's going to be great. And Anthony Ha is also making his first appearance from TechCrunch. Pound for pound, I think he's in the top 3 contributors to TechCrunch right now. Some people might argue he's the best at TechCrunch right now, but I don't want to start that whole can of worms. We couldn't do this show without the support of the viewers. Join the TWiST Backchannel, twistlist.co. Go to twistlist.co. You can donate anything like $2, $5, $10 a month, whatever you want. And then you're on the private back channel where 300 people are on a Google group and they talk about the show and talk about entrepreneurship. It's really fantastic. I love it. I'm on the list. We've all learned a lot. We don't really promote the list that much because it's kind of hit the right number of people. We don't want to really add too many people.
I would say so.
But if you're interested in that, go ahead and do that and support the show. I think the show has like, what, $4,000 or $5,000 a month in reoccurring donations?
Something like that.
Yeah,
and, you know,
nice.
It's nice to see them supporting each other. Somebody tries something out. They say, hey, can you guys take a look? Give me some feedback. And they do that for each other.
Yeah,
it's great.
That's pretty cool. Hey, that's Kirin Kali, the editorial director of the Launch Festival, Launch Conference, Launch Everything. Is that what you call yourself, editorial director?
Editorial director.
There you go. Wow, it's fancy pants.
It is.
Hey, thank you to Squarespace. Squarespace, make an exceptional-looking website. Sell digital and physical goods now with their online store, which is amazing. You get like the website, and it's just easy, and you can build a quick website. But you also can now add your own store, like Shopify. But you don't have to pay 2 people. You pay 1 person, Squarespace. And they are super affordable, and they make beautiful websites. And I use them myself. Squarespace, exceptional websites, super easy. Here's one for Ellingson. Here's one for Hide Stitch. This is a really cool like iPad Hey, somebody tell Kyle to buy me one of these. I want this for my iPad mini. How much does this thing cost? I go to the shop link because now you can build your website and look at that envelope clutch, mini reader sleeve, 125 beans.
It's fancy stuff.
That's fancy pants. I may need to get 2. Wait, there's a reader sleeve? Is that like the mini plus? Which one is the? I'll get the mini. Yeah, get me this mini reader sleeve from Hide X Stitch. It looks really beautiful. I could put my iPad mini in there. But anyway, Squarespace is amazing. Oh, and there's another shop from Tavern Vinegar Company. So, you have all these people in your lives, right? You probably have this happen to you, Kirin. Oh, my God, I need a website. You work on the internet. Make me a website. And I'm like, well, I'm kind of busy, yes, I do technically have the internet. I have the internet at home and at work. and I actually have it in between home and work in my car.
You can't be without it, dude.
I have the internet. And so, like, you know, it's like sort of like 1996 all over again. Oh, you have the internet? Can you make my website? I get this at Thanksgiving. I get it at Easter. I'll get it on Sunday. It's really annoying, but it's not annoying anymore because I say go to squarespace.com/twist, squarespace.com/TWiST. Use the promo code TWIST3 when your trial ends, and you'll get some discount or something. Listen, everything you need to create an exceptional website, Squarespace is awesome. They're crushing it as a company, and we have our choice of advertisers and partners on this program. We're sold out for 6 months in advance. And so I made a list of the top 10 products I like, and guess what? Like 6 of the 10 are the sponsors of the show. That's how lucky we are here at This Week in Startups, and we're just delighted to have Squarespace because when people use Squarespace, they thank us. All right, let's get to the news. Let me introduce my guest. Anthony Ha, of course, is from TechCrunch. How you doing, Anthony?
Is mine not working?
Anthony can hear me because he's talking.
Yes, he is.
Anthony, just use sign language. I think.
Okay,
there you go, Anthony. Now I can hear Anthony.
Yeah.
All right. Hey,
okay,
Anthony,
can you hear
sorry
me?
for the technical problems. Of course, you've been with TechCrunch. How long have you been at TechCrunch? And were you at VentureBeat?
A little over a year now. A little over a year.
Where were you before that? VentureBeat?
I was at Adweek for 6 months, which very few people in the tech world know, which is maybe one of the reasons I was only there for 6 months. Before that, I was at VentureBeat.
Yeah. Is Adweek still printing a physical version?
Yes, if you go to any like ad agency or like an ad startup, you'll see a bunch of them sitting in the reception area. I don't know
Does anybody
who
open
else
them?
subscribes.
Are they open? They could just put blank
I couldn't
pages
say.
in there and nobody would know.
That is possibly true. Possibly true. I don't want to talk too much shit about. Can I curse?
You can. It just costs you $10, and you're at TechCrunch.
Great.
You're not getting paid that well, so that's $10 in the PayPal. And by the way, I'm going to make a new ruling. The swear jar is now going to go to charity.
Okay.
Just so everybody knows, if you curse on the program, it's $10, and we're going to pick a charity. And then I want to have Brandis like a little thing come out that pops and goes cha-ching, and it's like so when they curse, it goes cha-ching.
Okay.
And it says $10, and it's a running ticker of how much we've donated to charity.
Okay.
Make sense?
Okay.
But take
Can I
all
just
the
put the AOL
previous
stock in the jar
money.
instead?
That's going to be a lot.
Well, because we know that we just come up with an estimate of what the
Okay.
previous money is, and then start, Kirin. But I think this would be better for the show. Is we're going to donate it to a charity?
Sure.
So to charity, and what was the charity we did? We did water, right?
Well, it was Charity Water. You did that with Chris
Okay,
Sacca.
so let's make Charity Water the official sponsor of the program, and we'll just do that. Hey, Baratunde Thurston, you're here. How are you doing?
Great, we're great.
So, first of all, happy Whiskey Friday, everyone. And thanks, Jason and Kirin, for having me on. Thanks, Anthony, for also being here. So I'm not alone and weird by myself.
Yeah.
I'm doing well, Jason. I'm physically a little exhausted, and my ears are still clogged up. I flew in from the East Coast this morning, and you know how your ears get clogged on the way down?
Yep.
And I flew a little sick, so.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that.
I can't hear, and I haven't had my whiskey yet, so I'm a cranky old man. It's going to be wonderful.
Have a little whiskey. Now, wait, you formerly were with The Onion. Where are you now?
Right now, I am co-founder and CEO of a new company called Cultivated Wit. We are a creative and comedic digital product company as well as agency. We help make the world a more fun place by infusing wit, fun, and creativity both into products and into marketing and campaigns.
That's a brilliant idea. So basically, the fact is The Onion is incredibly viral. Comedy sells on YouTube, on Twitter, everywhere in social media. Comedy is the #1 driver, as well as like emotion and sadness. But generally, positivity works better than tragedy.
We didn't want to build an agency around sadness.
You want? Oh no, that's my new agency. It's called the Tragedy Agency, Tragedy Inc. And basically, we come up with different tragic stories. This child fell in a well and died. Brought to you by Ivory Soap.
Sad Clown LLC.
Yeah, exactly. Smiley face. But that's a really brilliant idea. So do you have clients yet who you're making the funny for?
Yeah, we do. We have a couple. We did projects already for BBC America and for the Ford Foundation. We did an election campaign for Ford Foundation, driving voter turnout by shaming non-voters into voting. We called it YourExcuseSucks.com. It was a lot of fun, and we sort of made fun of the bad excuses people come up with for not participating in a participatory democracy.
Oh my God, that's such a good idea. Well, that's
yeah, it was
brilliant
fun.
Business
and
idea.
we're in San Francisco this week. We're doing an event, a hackathon, where we bring together like the two most awkward populations in the world, which are tech developers and comedians. And we call it Comedy Hack Day. It's at comedyhackday.org. Twitter's hosting, Funny or Die sponsoring. MailChimp's actually one of our sponsors, so I think there's some overlap there.
Yeah, MailChimp. Hey, that's a great company who sponsors our program as well. So everybody check out comedyhackday.org April
Yes,
6th
sir.
and 7th. Sign up here. So everybody go check out comedyhack.org. And Anthony, of course, is working at this new publication called TechCrunch.com. You can check it out.
you might
I
have
haven't
heard
seen
of
it
it.
yet.
It's going to be a
Good
big
luck,
deal one day.
It is
one
going to
day.
be big. I hear it's going to be big. Let's do the first story.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sassy Kirin.
All right. So, Anthony, since you covered the story this week, Amazon acquired Goodreads. This was a deal where the terms were not disclosed. They're expected to close this quarter. The Kindle's VP of Content has said, our mentality here is to first do no harm and make sure that if we're going to do integrations, users generally find it to be a big benefit. Goodreads has 16 million members, 30,000 book clubs, 23 million book reviews, 68,000 authors. They raised $2.75 million from investors, including True Ventures and some angels. They've been around since 2007. If you're familiar with the product, you can discover new books by seeing what your friends are reading. You can use the recommendation engine. You can share your ratings and recs, track what you've read, list what you read, and so forth. So how much do you think this deal was worth, and was it a good deal for Amazon?
Well, yeah, there was a big debate on how much per user people pay, right? So the value of a publicly traded company is like $100 for each LinkedIn user, right? And the value of Pinterest was like 50, right? And Pinterest is overvalued, obviously. People who are investing in that are paying at a higher value. So I said probably $5 to $15 because I don't think Goodreads is particularly growing in some major way.
Well,
and
16 million is okay.
What's that?
16 million.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. But I just thought it was more of like a boutique thing. So I said $5 to $15. I think is probably what it's worth, right? If they for the value of those customers, maybe you can make $5 a year selling them books. Like that would be 3 or 4 books in terms of affiliate fees. So turns out the price is 150 to 200 million. I think people are speculating, and so that means I nailed it. It's probably $10 a user. What do you think, Anthony? How much did they pay?
I mean, I think that any guess I'd make would probably be kind of, just pulling it out of my, I would just be making something up. But I think
Out of your brain?
Out of my brain.
Yeah, we were hoping you'd pull it out of your brain, not your ass. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But I think
estimate.
that, I would, if I were to have guessed, I would have guessed sort of upper double digits, but it sounds like, that the rumors are higher than that. And I mean, I don't think that's a shocking amount. I mean, it seems like it definitely has, this big, it has a big community, and it just seems like a really great fit for Amazon. So I wouldn't be surprised if they pay, a pretty decent premium.
Does this mean, Anthony, we're sort of ending the age of like the vertical social networks, or that it's like starting? Because we did see a lot of these vertical social networks. Obviously, LinkedIn is a vertical one for hiring, right? But where did all the other vertical social networks? There's supposed to be like a gay vertical social network, one for women, one for this, one for that, one for every group. And
It's just better if there's more people on there, isn't it?
right, but also by subject area, also by demographic. It never really came to pass, did it, Anthony?
I don't think there have been too many that have taken off that I'm aware of. It seems like what startups are trying to do now is they're vertical social networks, but they're more about like use cases. So I mean, in the obvious example, something like Instagram, which is just all about photos, Vine being kind of more about videos. But I don't think it's not so much about, the person involved. It's more about, I think, especially on a phone, you just want to have, one app that does this, shares this one thing. And I think that's what people are trying to do now. So Goodreads is sort of seems like it kind of from an earlier era of social networks.
There was also Flickster, I guess, was the other one. What do you think, Baratunde?
Well, one, I don't know what the price Amazon paid was, but I assume it was transacted in Amazon gift certificates. So that would be really, I think it's a win-win situation for the Goodreads employees and for Amazon revenue people. And as far as the social networks world, I agree with Anthony about sort of the functional social network as a new phenomenon, also just smaller. I think we did have many years ago a larger explosion of demographically focused social networks. I mean, Black Planet was pre-Friendster, and was one of the largest major ones out there. And they've kind of come back as, I think it's called Planet Next or Black Next. I should know the name of this, but I forgot it off the top of my head. So, but I see more in my own activity and feed. Like everybody's on Facebook, yay, done. You can create community within that. But having function, as Anthony pointed to, or size as path, line, some of these, even Snapchat to some degree, is function and size. You don't have, and then the message me and group me are not about connecting with everyone. They're about connecting with a few people in a certain type of media.
And I think the reason for that's a very good observation is like, so the future of social is a function, best of breed function, right? Vine is a perfect example, and Instagram for photos. But this idea of a smaller social network, I was talking to somebody about Facebook, and I'm just getting this universal, I guess you could call it the 7-year switch instead of the 7-year itch. It's like the 7-year switch. Once you take the 7 years to get through building out your graph on Facebook, the reward is it's worthless.
Yeah.
Because the only thing you want to share with everybody is a cup of coffee. Baratunde?
No, that's true. I mean, I would say 7 years is too long, but it has a nice ring to it. It's almost alliterative, right? Seven
Almost.
switch. I get what you're doing there. But the underlying truth is, yeah, we are outsourcing a lot of our connection to each other, businesses to their customers, to people who temporarily have our interest at heart, maybe not in the long term because they don't survive or their interests change. And so we reconstruct these things generally with email as the primary node that allows us to rebuild. It's kind of like reseeding a clone. But the copies get a little different each time. Maybe mobile number becomes the thing. It's very exhausting. And you see the spirit of something like app.net, which didn't ever take off in my world in any way. Like no one I ever connect to drug me into it. I didn't go into it. But there is an exhaustion. Like we can't live like this forever. This can't stand for too much longer.
Anthony,
and we'll either
agree?
just get over it and look back at this phase of trying to collect all our people digitally as a folly, or we'll find some other method of doing it where it's more natively embedded into our devices and services, so it's less a formal external function, or we'll just stop caring about people in general, and we won't want friends anymore. It's also
Anthony,
possible.
you stopped caring about people a long time ago. What do you think of what Baratunde said? This could be like
That's
a
true.
comedy
I'm
episode.
just full of hate. No, I think there's something to that there's that sort of restarting again and again is something that you don't really like to do. And certainly with the vertical social networks, one of the reasons they're able to do that is because, they usually build on top of a Facebook or a Twitter and you sort of import your social graph there. But I do think that definitely if it sort of just is this kind of cycle, then people are going to get sick of it eventually. I'm not necessarily entirely convinced yet that people are ready to move off of Facebook, but certainly if it kind of goes in that direction, then there'd be an urge just to kind of throw up your hands and be like, all right, I give up. Never mind. Let's go back to email.
Do either of you see a network common carrier like function around, social networking is becoming this very basic set of assumed capabilities. There's messaging, there's some sort of feed of activity, there's a wall-like region to post your super intelligent and nuanced thoughts. There are links between people and friend lists. And, we're repeating, we didn't reinvent the phone and the phone network every 7 years or 5 years or 5 months. We eventually said, okay, here's an address that works across providers and we can address each other in this way, and there's voicemail that works across providers. Same with email. We can all attach things to our email. We're not rebuilding the email network per se.
Yeah, this is supposed to be the FOF standard, which everybody seems to have forgotten about, and also, these wars, but the big Cold War between Zuckerberg and DeCostello, where, I guess Twitter is blocking Instagram photos from being shown because Instagram and Facebook won't let Twitter look up your friends there and all this nonsense. Like, it really has killed this and is creating this sort of artificial thing. It would be really interesting, Baratunde, if it was built into the operating system, which I think is sort of what Google's play is. Like, we have your email book, and they... I have like
have
3.
your mother, right?
Well, here's the thing. I have like 3 Google Apps emails. Like, so I have Jason at Calacanis, Jason Calacanis at Gmail, Jason at Mahala, which I'm retiring, and I'm moving to Jason at Inside. When I went to Jason at Inside, it's like, oh, do you want to do another Google Plus profile? I'm like, no, I don't need a 4th Google Plus profile.
Yeah.
How do I consolidate these? However, it does nail it instantly. Like, do you know this person? Do you know this person? Do you know this person? Because it's like your email is the best proxy for all this. Mm-hmm. But boy, would it be great if it was like I owned it. And this is what Diaspora was supposed to be about. Was like it's your social network, not the bastards at Facebook.
Not their social network. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and you mentioned app.net, and I mean, I do think that is, and I'm somewhat biased because they're neighbors of TechCrunch, and I know Dalton, but I think that one thing he's complained about is that they're not really trying to build this consumer social network. They're trying to build that kind of plumbing or protocol that you were talking about that then other people can kind of take advantage of. I don't think they've gotten there yet, but I don't think they're necessarily trying to build something that's going to have 1 million users out of the gate either.
Is it, Anthony, that they decided to go with paid first that's made them not grow?
I think sure, of course. I mean, that's definitely going to be a constraint. I think, and again, I don't know a lot of the inside stuff, but what Dalton tells me is certainly that it's the intention was never to become like this very big thing right away. It was to get people in there, test out a lot of stuff, get developers in there above all, and then now that once they felt good about the product, then they'll start to open it up and started to let people in for free. Of course, if they'd actually thought paid was going to work out well, that would still be the story they would tell. But that also, that makes sense to me.
All right, let's do the next story. Do the Adria
I'll
story.
talk about Adria. Okay.
Yeah, I gotta get that out of the way because everybody's like, Jason, you have to comment on this because you know her and she was at the launch event and she did a panel at the launch event, and so I feel like.
And she was great at launch.
She was great at launch, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
So just for those who might have been living under a rock the past 2 weeks, the backstory was she was at PyCon. She tweeted a photo of two gentlemen sitting behind her whose conversation she overheard, and something about dongles and about forking and,
In a sexualized way.
In a sexualized way, and, she was offended, and so she tweeted this, and the PyCon organizers saw the tweet. They responded. They talked to the gentleman. Apologies made, all these sorts of things.
She took a photo of him as well.
She did. She tweeted the photo,
Yeah.
right? So what happens after this is the internet explodes.
Yeah.
And one of the gentlemen worked for a company called Playhaven, and he was fired.
Okay.
And then all these people saying hateful things about Adria and
Death and rape threats.
all horrible things.
Yeah.
And from there, SendGrid suffers a denial of service attack, and then SendGrid puts out a Facebook post and a tweet saying that Adria is no longer employed by them. And then
Which everybody assumed was a hack.
yeah, it was like, wait, that can't
For
be
like
real.
4 or 5 hours, it was a hack, people thought.
And then the CEO had a blog post saying that, we decided, we support her right to speak up. We don't think she should have done it in the way that she should have. And her job as a developer evangelist is to unify the community. And she can no longer do that because she's divided people.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of left it at that. And then, of course, lots of people who think that that wasn't the right thing. And the debate has been continuing. She went quiet for a couple of days there. She did come out with a statement earlier this week. And, her position was she wasn't going to comment on the specifics of what happened. That's probably for legal reasons. But she did want to take a much more positive forward, let's
Okay.
make this a better place kind of attitude.
Anthony, net, what are we supposed to take away from all this?
I think that what a lot of people have said to me, and I would agree with, is this, that, it's sort of just on a very specific level, it does seem like a situation where everything, at every step of the way, it felt like people there was sort of a bad decision, but then the response to it was sort of disproportionate. But then the response was disproportionate, so it just kind of, cascaded into this complete disaster.
Which it seems to be the speciality of the internet, isn't it, Baratunde? It's
The internet is
spiral of insanity.
amazing. The internet is amazing at exploding over things. I think in this case, what's particularly troubling is just the way it explodes and the tone and the tenor, which are relatively the same word. Didn't mean to be that redundant, but of that explosion with Adria, it manifests itself in the ugliest racism, sexism, and violence, and actual attacks, like doxing of her personal life, actual phone threats and images of dead bodies and all sorts of racist language, vile, sexist, violent, anti-women language. And, to Anthony, to put some meat on the bones of Anthony's statement about disproportionate, kind of cascading disproportionatism, let's create a new term.
Yeah.
That's totally going to catch on.
This was one of the worst cases of that. And you have the ability, it's this magic of the internet sword that cuts both ways, where people can coordinate action across distances and time relatively anonymously. And that is a powerful tool, and it can be used for great good or great harm. And in this case, it was clearly great harm on balance in the absolute. So that's really troubling, and it's sort of, whatever the thought about her initial move, and there's been a lot of second guessing about what she could have done differently, should she have posted the photos, this and that.
What do you
no
think about
step
that?
in the prior part of the chain excuses the reaction further down the chain.
So let's address that one. Let's address that one. Do you think that was the key moment in which this thing got out of hand, was that she took public action? And do you think it's unfair for us to focus on that?
Well, so I think it's incomplete for us to focus on that. Whether it's fair or not, I really don't know. And I'm trying to be careful because I'm remembering my own cases of using the internet in a way and having my full context, but I'm totally justified because X, and that's happened. So on the face of the facts that I've seen so far, I certainly understand the second guessing, right? Which is like, oh, could you have not just said something to those dudes? Could you not just walked up to the organizers yourself and done this and does that? So I get that. And I'm not saying people raising those questions are absolutely crazy or wrong or any other ism attached to it. I would say there are times when I've done things like that where like you just want to get something off your chest because it's the end of a long line of things you haven't said things about.
Like, yeah, you like I
That's
asked
what
for
Twitter's
soy 3
for.
times at Starbucks, and now I'm going to take a picture of a Starbucks and be like, Starbucks fail.
But what it does do, and I remember, this is a related story, and it has no politics attached to it, so maybe it's even more interesting to talk about. I was walking down the street in New York, that's where I live. I saw a dude with a ridiculous dog. That's part of the New York life. And I just wanted to take a picture of this dude, his ridiculous dog, post it to the internet with snarky comment attached, because that's what Twitter's for.
Yeah,
and I take out my camera, prepared to violate the sanctity of his relationship with his dog and his happy moment, because, I have more authority in this realm than he does, and he won't even know. And I decided to ask. I said, hey, can I take your picture? And he was like, actually, no. I would rather you didn't. It annoys me so much when people just run up on me and snap shots. I don't know what they're doing with them. It's kind of awkward. And so I respected his explicit wishes because I made it an open thing. And I walked away rethinking my publicizing of other people's lives without their express consent. Now, this is not that situation, but there is
an element of that.
There is weight to, talking publicly, trying to address the public, talking amongst people in a way that's accessible by the public. They're all a little bit different. And in this case, I think this was, with the hashtag and the conference, primarily talking her people and the conference.
Right.
But then exploded. And then this guy's boss, and I don't know what their logic was in firing him. I don't know if they talked to him. We don't. There's so much we don't know. I want to be a little careful.
Yeah, that's
but then he loses his job, and then she writes, I never wanted this guy to lose his job. That was not the goal of this. I was feeling this way and that way. Of course, I don't want somebody to be fired. And then the internet piles on that. So all of this is, to me, a sign that we're still learning about the ramifications and the ripple of all these things, and we're not good at it.
We suck.
The speed of this, the speed with which we can connect to so much and theoretically know so much.
It's all, what I find is
our judgment can exceed our knowledge much faster than it ever could in the past with action.
I have a lot of strong feelings on this, but I want to let Kirin talk too, because she knows Adria.
I spoke to her at the hackathon that Saturday night.
And you coordinated her speaking at the event, and I had a lot of back and forth with when I wrote my pieces on technology as a meritocracy, for better or worse. I've got some things right, I got some things wrong myself. But I am happy that there was a lot of dialogue created by it, even though I'm a rich white guy, so my opinion doesn't matter. So, Kirin, you're a woman.
No, here's the woman opinion.
Now, let me give the woman opinion.
All right.
Officially, can you speak for all women or just you?
We've now got the Indian, half Indian, woman opinion, and then finally we got the white guy opinion. Go.
All right. So I spoke to Adria the Saturday night of our hackathon.
Right.
I thought, I was just going through. I just wanted to see what was going on up there, and I saw her. And I was like, oh, great, I can chat with her. Exactly. No. And what really struck me is that she is such a nerd. She loves to hang out at hackathons. She was just so excited to be there and talking to the teams. And she was showing me something that she'd, experimented with, some product at the TED conference the week before. And, we just had this nice chat, and she was really excited about doing the diversity panel and all those sorts of things. And we, like I said, just had a nice chat.
And she was delightful at the event, and working with her was delightful.
Yeah. She had, she had a great time, and we were really happy she was there and that she contributed her expertise and knowledge and shared that with the hackathon folks.
So all around great.
Yeah, it was great. And, she actually raised a concern to me on that Monday afternoon. She said, only some of the clips of the panel have been posted. And she wanted to know when the whole thing was going to come out. And, you're in the middle of a massive event.
Yeah.
I heard her. I said, yes, we definitely want to get the whole thing up there. I don't know why only the clips are going up. That's
it was actually a technical issue with the Snappy TV people who were putting up clips, right? But she got a little bit tilted about that.
A little bit.
Not so snappy.
This is just what goes on in the middle of a crazy event.
She's got a little bit of she does have a little bit of an edge, which is probably about half the edge I have, right? So I do
you
think
have a chip on your shoulder too.
Oh my God, I've got 20 chips on my shoulder. 4 fall off. I put 6 more back. When we get back from commercial break, the rich white guy will give his opinion finally.
I didn't even get a chance to say what I think of what happened.
Okay, think about what happened. Yes, go.
Okay. Yeah, so what happened when all this sort of went crazy last week is it was like watching a car accident in slow motion. I couldn't stop following the tweets. I couldn't stop reading what people were blogging about. It's just so disturbing and so saddening to me.
Yeah.
And one of the things, and I expressed this to the back channel of this program, I said, what if
TWiST.co.
The TWiST.co. I said, what if some of the same people who were really nice to my face, either at the live events we've done for the show or at the launch festival itself, are the same people who would turn around and write these horrific things about her through some anonymous account, who are really that upset because a woman brought a man down. Like, how dare she get a man with 3 children fired? Like, hello, how does that justify your response? It doesn't.
Like, I'm going to rape and murder her.
Murder. Like, it's absolutely out of control.
That's the thing about this.
The anti-womanness of the whole thing upset me. Yes, she could have handled things better.
Yeah, that's there's a very disturbing thing with that. But now, Baratunde, you're a specialist in this trolling on the internet, in that the comedy stuff that The Onion does, in a way, is like the ultimate, like, well-done trolling and comedy stuff. Do you think that a lot of this trolling is, like, people who actually are not on either side of the issue, they're just saying, like, wouldn't it be funny to write these stupid comments? And, like, it's like one guy writing or one woman or whoever writing 17 different comments that are so vulgar and ridiculous that they're just absurdists? Or do you think it's actually, like, people who are bad people?
I don't think it's the first thing you said.
Okay.
And my expertise in this area is limited to thinking of myself as a generally decent person with, limits like we all do and imperfections and all that. But the idea that you would go out of your way to say, like, this is clearly not a humorous situation in any way. I think this is just people venting and taking advantage of the shield of that they have to not say this to your face and to get a lot of ugliness off their chest. And I think in some people this brings forth things that may be latent, but they don't realize until, now it feels kind of personal, sort of challenges my view of the world. So insert everything that happens in YouTube comments ever.
Anthony, what are your thoughts on the trolling?
Worse.
Anthony,
Sorry.
Thoughts on the trolling?
I would agree that I think there's probably, just in general on the internet, I think it's a mix, that there's going to be some people who are going to exaggerate sort of the rhetoric because they're online and they're sort of shielded, and that's how you get attention. But I think there's also, it is a lot of sort of real emotion that only gets expressed online because of that shield that you guys were talking about. So I would and I would sort of assume, a lot of it is, to a certain extent at least, serious, and which is why it's really alarming and frightening.
All right. When we get back from commercial break,
then you're going to share.
I will share the fat, balding, pasty-skinned white guy opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Your hair still looks great.
Which is what everybody's waiting for. We need to have a rich, white, fat guy comment on this.
We should put the fat in there.
Of course, balding, fat, self-absorbed, narcissistic, whatever. The important opinion is what I'm saying after this commercial break. Hey, listen. MailChimp, I use it. Everybody uses it. They just got a plug for doing Baratunde's brilliant idea of doing a comedy plus nerd hackathon. Genius. MailChimp is a great product. We use it here at launch. We use it at inside.com. We use it at everybody uses it. It's like doing a commercial for MailChimp is like doing a commercial for, like, vanilla ice cream. It's like everybody loves ice cream. Ice cream's great. MailChimp's great. 12,000 emails per month for free. 2,000 subscribers a month for free. They basically took 90% of the market and said, you can use our delicious, beautiful chocolate ice cream with whatever kind of sauce you like for free. That's MailChimp. And why do they do that insanity of giving 90% of the market a free product? Because they know they're going to help you grow your business until you become into the top 10. And then you can pay them a very modest fee, pay as you go. And pay-as-you-go is what really confident companies do. They don't sign you to 2 or 3 year contracts like some other email providers do. I have them call me and email me, Jason, can you sign a 3-year contract for this amount? It's like, no, I'll go with MailChimp, which constantly adds features like mobile-friendly email templates, version 8, which has multi-user access. Finally, we need that, right? Because we need to give access to people, but we don't want them downloading the list or, like, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So that's great. Multi-user access. Finally, the free plan is always free. Awesome features. Everybody uses it. MailChimp. Here's the monkey. Here we go. Done. Boom. MailChimp. Everybody say, I love @MailChimp on your Twitter account. And back to the program. How was that?
Good.
That was okay?
What was that?
So here's mine. I mean, how does anybody take me seriously after I just went, and now here's my
Because you're getting paid for it, that's why.
It's really hot in here, and I should have a drink. Okay.
Amazing.
Here we go.
That was really good.
All right. I have a lot of feelings on this.
White
Overall,
man feelings, hashtag.
Exactly. overall, these events are very interesting because I think they're like a Rorschach test, right? Like, so this crash happens, right? And then based on who you are and what your own personal issues are, that's which piece of this just tragedy and, unnecessary, like, a turn of events, right? So if you're a female, you are like the reaction to Adria's,
Jason, it's just we've all been there.
Of course, right? Yeah, women have, and I'm not saying that these feelings are wrong.
Okay.
In some cases, they're wrong. In that case, it's not. But so women will focus in on the reaction of people, and correctly so. I'm going to rape and kill and murder this person. Some subset of guys who feel that guys' rights are being infringed on, which is kind of ridiculous. But anyway, they'll say like, oh my gosh, she got these guys fired, right? And they typically are the people who associate with that group. Then another group of people will go to the people who reacted, and they'll say, oh, well, the women who are reacting to this don't realize that Adria could have used a different strategy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when you look at this, that's what's happening, I think, is everybody's sort of bringing their own issues to the table when it comes to this. In reality, there is, Adria, in my opinion, she could have handled it better. And the thing I'm very curious about, which I have no clarity on, these guys are wrong to be making these kind of jokes. We have a policy, right, that you and I have been working together for 20 years, have for the conference, no nonsense like this.
Yep, no booth babes.
PyCon has that as well. We kicked out booth babes this year.
We did.
And we're, got a disproportionate amount of credit for doing that. I don't think we deserve super credit for that. It's a pretty easy call. But anyway, I don't know if these guys were telling a dick joke, like whispering to each other, or they were being the conference clown, right? Because there's those conference clowns who feel like, well, I'm not on stage, but I have to tell jokes here so that everybody can see me in the 7th row making jokes, right? Like those idiots at conferences. I have a feeling they were kind of being those idiots at conferences, and they were saying this stuff to try to get people around them to think they're funny, right? So I think they're absolutely wrong, but I don't know that. Now, there's a couple of interesting tests that you can put against this. If they were telling jokes that weren't sexual but were racist, if they were saying, hey, what about black guys, or what about Jews, or what about, whatever, then if somebody said, these guys are telling jokes about the Holocaust, or about black people, or using the N-word, or about Asian people, or, or whatever, or about gay people, and that person would be, if you outed that person, people would think you're a hero, right?
Probably.
I think you would be kind of lauded, like, oh, you stood up to people who are being racists or something. But if you stand up to people who are being sexist, like, oh, well, that's different, right? Because, again, people are bringing their own thing to the table.
Well, and as people pointed out, she had tweeted a rather suggestive thing about male genitalia herself not too long before all this happened, right? About a guy putting, socks in his pants for TSA.
Right. So,
which is a great idea, by the way.
That's pretty funny. Because you know what?
Just on the merits.
I got smacked in the nuts so hard at the San Francisco airport just a month ago that I...
Not by a TSA agent, though. Just
No, I was actually at the Starbucks.
Like Jason?
No. I love how hard this is a good story. I get there. It's late. I'm a little cranky because it's late. I want to get home, and I missed my flight. I had to go to the next flight. I'm not going to put my daughter to bed. And this guy comes up my leg, and for whatever reason, he feels the need to just give it a little flick there, and he whacks me in the nuts. And I was like, oh, but he didn't kind of notice. And then he does it on the next, and he
did it again.
He was like one of these guys who takes the job real serious, and he whacked me in another nut. And I said, dude, you hit me in the nuts twice. And the guy got so scared. And he was like, security, manager. And he starts yelling for the manager. So now 2 cops come over, and what's the matter, sir? And I said, there's nothing the matter, except this gentleman smacked me in the nuts twice. During the pat down, is he supposed to smack me in the nuts? Because if he is, I'm okay with it. If that makes Americans, whatever. And the guy's like, do you want to have another person do, we're going to have another person do this screening. And I said, that's great, because I would rather not get smacked in the nuts 3 times. But can you answer my question? Are you supposed to smack me in the nuts? And the guy's like, sir, we have a procedure, and if you're going to, we can take you inside and do it privately. I was like, I just want to make my flight and get home. This has nothing to do with the situation with Adria.
That was an amazing, little detour there. That was good. That was good.
But it was perfectly on point with your overall point, which is everybody brings what they have to the table, and you brought your nuts to the table.
Exactly. I brought my nuts to the table.
You're like, this is what I think about the Adria situation and the tragedy. My balls got hit once.
Yeah,
at the
my
airport.
balls got cracked twice. But the thing is about also now we have to start to think about, like, if it was a private conversation, right? And so this is where partial information is so hard. This is like a poker hand, like trying to unravel this. And that's why I kind of like was like, I'm not going to even get involved in this, because when I wrote my pieces on my view of the world of technology is what I see in the launch conference in angel investing is it's becoming this great meritocracy. The rest of the world, yes, racism, sexism, all exist in the world, but I'm seeing the technology industry become a great, great meritocracy where, you know, if you're a great writer, you get a job. If you have great growth metrics, you get the money, and you could be Indian, you could be Asian, whatever. Baratunde finds this laughable. Go ahead, Baratunde.
I think it's a beautiful, beautiful way of seeing the world, and I will interpret it as a positive that you are so positive and optimistic about the actual world.
But maybe
I'm
naive.
not trying to cut you off.
As a black man, you think I'm naive?
I wouldn't. Naive may not have been the wrong word. I think, to your earlier point, people see, based on their experience and what they bring to the table. There are so many. There's a post that Anil Dash put up this week that was not only funny, but I thought was kind of insightful to the thing. It's like, here's 10 ways to make it as a startup, you know, today. Here are the things you need to do to get your startup in order. You got to speak great English, be born in a Western democracy, have this sort of education, be attractive enough for probably podcasting purposes, and then six other.
We are.
Well, you know, not everybody meets the Anil Dash threshold. There were 10 points. If we hit like 6 and 10, we're still
be raised with access to clean drinking water and sanitation.
Exactly.
Try to be born in a region that is politically and military stable. Grow up with a family that is steady and secure as possible. Have access to at least basic free education and core subjects. Avoid being abused by family members, loved ones. Be fluent in English or have a time to dedicate to improving your skills and language. Make sure there's enough disposable income available to support your learning of technology. All that other stuff. It was a great post. I think you know, it's actually becoming. I think that intention is very important. And I think the way I get through all these situations is by looking at the core intent. And I think what the media does is they take out intent and they do whatever's going to get the most page views, right?
They just go crazy.
So Gawker is like, let's make Jason look like a rich white guy who is telling black people or whoever that they just need to work harder, right? And they don't understand the intent that I grew up poor too, you know, and my dad lost all his money and was in debt $300,000 to the. But why would you ever even think about that when you could just say, well, he made a lot of money selling Weblogs Inc., so therefore his opinion doesn't matter. You know, my opinion I think does matter, and I think everybody should have a voice. And my intent when I'm saying that is I think that we're building a meritocracy, and I think it's getting really good because every year I see more people of color, more women founders. I just see more and more and more of it. And so I'm, especially compared to 10 and 20 years ago when I started in the business, it's getting better in our industry. I don't know what the heck's going on in the biotech industry or the other industries, but I see that. And that's, for me, I'm actually working on that. You work with me. We work on diversity. And we sit there and have these great discussions about, you know, are we lowering standards? Are we maintaining standards? Are we giving people too much of a break? Are we going to put somebody on stage because they're a female, but their product's not as good as the other ones? Like, we have really granular discussions about this. Like, we work on it. But, of course, all that gets thrown out. And then I think that's what's happening here. Like, we don't know if those two guys are really – we're just making a funny joke and just being class clowns, or if they actually hate women, or if they're trying to make a hostile place. Maybe they're just stupid kids, or maybe
people don't realize what effect their words have on other people.
Precisely. Go ahead, Anthony.
But I was going to say that I agree, though, that I think that intention is definitely very important, but I think that's not the entirety of it, and that if you are talking in a way, especially in a context like a hackathon, which is very male dominant and testosterone heavy in a very specific way, like, and you make women feel uncomfortable, like, that's something you should still be called out on. I don't, again, the way that you should be called out on, I think, can certainly be debated, and I think it shouldn't be this immediate assumption that you are a sexist jerk. But I think that that's still, something that just because you didn't mean it to make someone uncomfortable doesn't mean it can still make someone uncomfortable. And that's something you should all, and when I say you, I mean myself too, also take into account.
I think it's a very good point. I find young people are very stupid about context. As an example,
they're just stupid in general, though.
They are. That's true. Young people are dumb. And we're old now, Baratunde. We know.
Oh, definitely. I'm over 30. It's done.
I'm 40 too. But I mean, young people are so dumb because I'll have people tell jokes in a business setting, And they're like, well, Chris Rock, says much worse. And I'm like, in a comedy club, in a movie that's rated R. If people tell at a poker table, right? Like, so I play in poker games, and I play in a poker game with a lot of famous comedians and other people and actors and whatever, and billionaires, whatever. And at that table, they sit there, and the Jewish comedians tell Jewish jokes, racist jokes about each other, and they all laugh. And it's in that context, it's fine. Now, you take that and put it in a business context.
Not fine.
Not fine. And with people you don't know for 10 years, right? So if Kevin Pollak is making a joke on stage about something, that's one thing. If Kevin Pollak's taking a poker table, it's another. If another person says it at a conference, use your brain. And it has no place there. And you know how I am about we work together. Like, in the workplace, do you ever hear me say anything inappropriate? No. Ever? And do you hear me correct people when they say something inappropriate every time?
Yes.
It's like people just are dumb. I'm tired of stupid people.
But they just don't think about it, Jason. That's
These guys are
I don't understand if somebody makes a comment and somebody corrects them. If they do it again, then they're stupid.
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't realize that I've offended somebody, and now you say, "Oh, I've offended you." Okay, so next time I'll think before I say something like that, or I'll make sure I'm in the right context before I say that.
I would say also that I feel like it should. I really wish there was a lot more room for someone to say that. Like, what you said offended me, and people have said that to me. And I don't always respect the best, but respond in the best way. But ideally, the way I should respond is like, I'm really sorry. Like, I don't take the fact that you were offended as a slight on me. That just meant I was being a little bit thoughtless, and I'm going to think about it the next time. It doesn't actually have to be this big deal, this big slight on me about whether I'm like racist or sexist or whatever. It's just, oh, I wasn't thinking. I will think more next time. Let's move on, as opposed to turning it into.
And I think that's what Adria was hoping for,
right?
Not for all this other crap that happened,
right? But she's very aggressive in her pursuit of equality.
Well, and you know why she did it?
Why?
Because there was a photo on screen of a young girl, and she thought, first what she blogged was, first I'm just going to let it go.
Yeah.
I've been to 5 conferences in the last month. I'm tired, whatever. And then she saw the photo of the girl, and she said, you know what? If I don't say something, girls like that aren't going to go into this business because they're not going to feel welcome. Yeah. And that's why she spoke up in the way that she spoke up, and then you can debate from there. But, you have a daughter. You want her to grow up in a world where she can do whatever she wants.
Of course.
And not have to worry about whether people judge her just because she's a woman.
Of course. Yeah, and it's just, God. And then I'm going to take a little bit of exception with what Sengrid did. I know there have been sponsors of the program. I know the Sengrid people. I know they're investors. I don't agree with them firing her.
No, I don't either.
I think it was low class.
Is it the equivalent of accommodating terrorists? Right, like
we don't negotiate with terrorists.
Yeah. Right,
and we negotiate with terrorists. Yeah. Here's the thing: they should not have fired her. What they should have said was, "We support." First of all, you always support your employees. Unless they do something illegal or whatever, and then you can't. But you should always support your employees. And when your employee is fighting because they're being sexually harassed, then you have to double down on that support. They should have come out and said, we support her. And we want to get that other person their job back, and we want to have a beer summit or whatever Obama did with that whole thing.
Exactly.
And this is how Jason Calacanis would handle it if she was my employee. This is a terrible situation, and we're going to diffuse everything. We're inviting those people over to have lunch with us and her and the organizers of the conference, and we're going to create a committee called Diversity or whatever, and we're going to just talk about why this is an issue, and we're going to do it, which is what I did when I was getting skewered for what I wrote. Let's have a panel on it at the conference and talk it out a little bit.
And the timing of that worked out well.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't have to fire somebody from their job.
Yeah.
Both of the firings, that's the worst part of all this, I think, is the threats of violence is the worst. But right up there after that is firing 2 people from their jobs when you could have just sat them down and said, listen. And that's all this that's Sengrid not having a backbone because they're afraid of the denial of service attacks, which is really impacting their business, so they have no backbone. And then on the other side, it's this other company saying, well, we don't want to expose ourselves and look like we support sexism, when they should have reprimanded those guys, and they should have sent them to training. What would you have done, Baratunde?
I would have given them hugs. I'm really good at hugging, and I think coming from me, it would have meant slightly a bit more. I wrote a book called How to Be Black, and so I have some authority in a subset of these matters. Now, I absolutely agree with you, and I think we should document this moment The firings were, I would actually just repeat what you said. I agree with those points in particular. It's you get tested. Like, this is the week that a lot of people got tested.
Yeah.
And in your life, you don't have, hopefully, too many moments like this, whether it's as a business or as an individual political leader. Mostly things are whatever they're doing, they're average, they're normal, they maintain. And then you get put up against the wall, and your reaction in that moment is pretty revealing and pretty telling.
So if you were the CEO of SendGrid and you were the CEO of the other guy's company, what would you have done in both situations, Baratunde?
So in the hindsight's 2010, if not 20.05, but it's hyper clear. I think for the dudes, for the first firing, I don't know. I think you have to getting rid of someone from their job is a massive decision, right? You're cutting off an economic flow to that person, to their sense of self, to their family and the people who depend on them. And maybe you know about that picture in whole or in part, but it's not a light decision to cut off payroll to a human being, especially in an economy that's as shaky as it is. And to your point, unless they've done something so dramatically horrible, like that's the absolute last resort. So yeah, you talk it out. I think what they could have done, and I don't know that whether beer's involved or not, I prefer whiskey myself.
Yeah.
It would have been very enlightening and sort of role model opportunity for them to say, look, we saw the report about our employees making these comments. We have a policy against such things as well. We are talking with this employee, and in fact, they bring Adria in too and say, look, we sent our guy to this conference. We're sorry he made you uncomfortable. We feel like we made you uncomfortable by extension. That's not our goal here. Understand that we hear you. We acknowledge what's going on, and we are sort of checking off that box of having heard that you think something went bad here. And that's a huge step.
Right.
A lot of what happens in
That's a brilliant idea.
Denial that there's anything wrong.
That's a brilliant idea. Yeah. And right now, here we go. I'll steal it. I'll pay to fly Adria here and the guy. This will be great radio and TV. Fly them both here. I'll pay for the ticket.
Both on the show.
Both on the show, same time. And Jason will host the beer summit with them. I'll get some whiskey. I'll talk it through. And
you want Baratunde here to give you hugs?
No, I don't need Baratunde. They can do that in private. We'll be snuggling later. All right. So now, as the CEO of SendGrid, what do you do, Baratunde?
Yeah.
And then Anthony, you're next here.
Yeah. No, I think you don't. SendGrid says, they put themselves in a weird box because she was hired to reach out to developers. They're like, hey, you pissed off the people you're supposed to reach out to, so we have to let you go. But the reason that you pissed them off is something that we could have sort of supported and stood behind. I think it was a trap in a very strange way. And they made it easy for, if you want to get SendGrid to do something, like I want a discount on my SendGrid, so now I'm just going to DDoS them. Like, I'll get what I want because they now have a precedent behind all these things. So with them, I think it's a similar tack, but I think you come out, either you don't say anything at all, you just weather it for the time being until you sort out what's going on.
Yeah, say nothing.
Right. Or, and the first thing they did was like a Facebook post, very short, very cold, like, we have fired the developer, Adria Richards. Like, that's weird. Cold.
That's
this is your family.
That was a lawyer.
She's been hustling.
Right. Kirin's right. It was a lawyer who wrote that. Okay, Anthony, what did you do?
And she was out there like representing them in such a strong way too. So it wasn't just a random.
Anthony, if you are the CEO of SendGrid, what do you do? How do you handle it, Anthony?
I mean, I think that I agree with basically most of what Baratunde said. I mean, partially because it's easier just to say that, but I do think that SendGrid in particular was in a really tough spot, and I mean, it's when you're not at the company and it's not your bottom line at risk, it's much easier to say, well, obviously they should have stood behind her. I mean,
so you agree with what they did?
No. I absolutely disagree with what they did. I think that
So you would have done something
in their
different.
shoes. I would not. I would have tried to weather it. And I mean, it's harder to say. It's easy to say that when you're on the outside, but I honestly think that was the right thing to do. I think like you said, you stand behind your employees unless you really think they crossed a line, because otherwise, on the outside, it looks like you just if you just have to attack SendGrid and they'll cave. On the inside, if you're an employee, then suddenly these guys don't actually have my back. Like as soon as stuff gets rough.
Right. Okay, so there you go. 3 for 3. Kirin, you're the CEO of SendGrid. What do? Fire her, or you stand behind her?
Hell no.
You fire
Stand behind
her.
her.
So 4 out of 4 intelligent people, and not bad looking on this program, say they would have stood behind her.
Yes.
I think that's very telling, and I think SendGrid needs to think about that. I think they made the wrong move. Now, is she suing them or not? Anthony, what do you think? Is she suing them, or did she get a settlement? What do you think's going on here? Because she's not talking about the instance, which to me means they gave her 2 years' salary or a year or two of salary, and said, "We'll pay you a year to say nothing. You have a confidential thing." Or do you think she's preparing a suit?
My guess is that she, and this is definitely kind of murky waters, but if I were to guess, I would guess that she's deciding whether or not to do it right now. And I think that's a period where you all still want to be kind of careful about what you're going to say, because you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I would imagine, in her shoes, I would be thinking very carefully about that. And I would totally understand why that might be a thing that makes sense. But obviously the flip side is, in a situation like this, there's also a big chance you just kind of want to move on with your life and just kind of forget this happened.
I mean, she's a nerd. She wants to keep doing what she was doing before. And if she wants a chance to be redeemed and to do that type of work again, having a lawsuit is not going to help her. Right. Unfortunately.
It gets even harder.
Ellen Pao of
I mean, who's going to hire Ellen Pao now for their venture firm? You would have to be a female-led or female-dominant venture firm, because if not, you're going to be like, oh, is she worth the trouble? She sued once, will she sue again? And now, so if you look at both of these people, Adria and the dopey guys who got fired, the dopey guy who got fired will absolutely get a job instantly overnight. Sure. Adria? Yeah. I'm not so sure.
That's somebody who's taking a big risk in many ways.
I would have. Here's how I would have handled with the first company. Now that I hear everybody's feedback, it's easier to give another idea. I would have suspended without pay the guy who made the dongle jokes. I would say we take it very seriously. He's been suspended without pay for 30 days. We're sending him to
some kind of
training,
sensitivity training,
non-sensitive. We're going to send him to stupidity training. Let's call it what it is. We're going to send him to stupidity training, and he's going to have to sit there for 3 days on his own dime. He has to pay for it himself, and he has to come out with a public apology, which he did. But we're going to send him to stupidity training for 3 days. He's got to sit through, people stating the obvious about how you should behave in a professional setting, and that's his punishment. No pay for 30 days and 3 days of stupidity training, as well as living in
I was wrong on the chalkboard 500 times.
I mean, basically.
Bart Simpson. I would. Was there something else to your?
No.
All right, so two other thoughts. One is on Adria's relative silence over the past week. I think the other thing that may be going on, and just for disclosure purposes, I consider her a professional colleague and friendly person. We're not super close, but it's a small world of
Have you had dinner
tech
before?
Conferences. We've never had dinner before.
Okay, so then this is how I now have decided friendship. If you've had dinner in the last 6 months or a year, or more than 3 or 4 times, you could be friends. If you haven't had dinner ever, or certainly not in the last couple of years, then you're associates or you're acquaintances. Okay, so she's a professional acquaintance.
We're positive associates. We hung out at TED a few weeks before all this went down.
Okay, good. Yeah, friendly.
And what I would also say that I'm guessing in a semi-educated fashion, I don't fully know, this is a traumatizing event. And the firing is the minority of it, right? The firing of either party. The actual threats on your life and having your financial records exposed to the public and having 4chan as an enemy, that's terrifying.
Terrorizing.
That's terrifying.
That's terrifying.
And so I would bet that most of her public hesitance for any comment about any specifics is weighted toward concern about that rather than employment law and her relationship to SendGrid in the future.
Yeah, you got to keep your head down. I mean, it's like... Yeah. It's really great when anonymous and 4chan communities go after true scumbags in the world, and they they're like, oh, George Bush started a bunch of wars, and we're going to expose his amateur paintings. Like that, ha ha ha, that's good. Mm-hmm. But when some hackers, anonymous is not doing this with Adria, but if some hackers are like, oh, we're going to make Adria's life hell because she's never going to be able to have her email in the cloud or have a Dropbox in her life because we're going to hack it. And anybody who she works for, we're going to DDoS. I mean, can you imagine? And then it's just like, oh, I hire her and then I get DDoSed. What would be really smart, I think, right now is if somebody who, is in the developer relations community hires her, I think they're going to come out looking like heroes. I think there's actually huge upside to it. So if you had a company that services developers, I think you hire to just think, on a strategy basis. If you were Twilio or somebody like that and you hire her, and you can weather the technical, issues or whatever, and you say, listen, we talked to her about it, and we think that she's really, in the right here. And I think actually it brings you a lot of kudos and clients ultimately. So I think somebody should be brave and do it.
Maybe somebody already has, and we just don't know it yet.
It's possible. Let's do another story real quick.
All right, so I think we got to talk about Yahoo buying Sumly.
Okay, go. Before you read it, let's just ask. Anthony, what do you think? Yahoo Sumly.
I mean, I think that it's I don't. I mean, I think that it's just such an interesting story because the guy who founded it is such this character. I mean, I think somebody referred to him as if he hadn't founded this company, he'd be in one direction. And there was I read I think one story where he's like quoted in talking about how well he knows like Johnny Ive and I mean some of that stuff I don't know if that's true, but he's just clearly like this kind of character. And I do think that it makes sense for Yahoo in the sense that they're clearly they're trying to become more double down and in some ways on content. And I think that, and also I think Yahoo has a hard time getting talent right now. So hiring this kind of character and his team, and who has a lot of mobile experience, I think it seems like it makes a lot of sense.
And what do you think, Baratunde? Have you followed it?
Very limitedly. I'm more interested in the general trends of what's happening with news and whether it's sort of the amateur and sort of edge creation of news by people who formerly just consumed it. That's one interesting part of the story. Algorithmic news and Google News and
the
things like that.
The
algorithmic
news stuff doesn't work, does it? That's kind of DOA.
No, but and then things like Sumly and Circa, which seem to be taking this hybrid approach,
right?
Which is how do we, I think you've got reporting and kind of adding facts to the world. You've got BSing and talking about things. We're sort of in that spectrum right now. For example, we're not breaking new facts.
Yeah, no.
There's a roundtable.
There's no original research here.
It's a cable news model. Yeah, and then in between, you've got all kinds of new platforms, new customers and viewers and contributors. And so Sumly, and I know Circa as a product better, I've actually met that founder a couple of times. We've had dinner. Whereas I've never had dinner with this Nick kid. So, but the specifics of Yahoo buying them is more interesting as a general statement about where else is there going to be activity within news. Where's the growth there?
Yeah.
Where's the innovation? And the idea of pocket-sized consumption of information and synthesizing this in a way that doesn't diminish the value of the raw information, still makes you an informed citizen in this world around us, which has got so much info. That's very interesting.
I have a lot of feelings on this, and let me get inside some of them.
Oh boy.
So
should we just first say that he's 17?
Yeah, that's all. Whatever. Who cares? I mean, there's a lot of. Listen, Zuckerberg was 19,
and
it's going to be a 13-year-old.
I've never done anything with my life. That's great.
It's going to go right down. Somebody's going to be like in junior high school and do this next. But the point is, I used the product. It didn't actually work, and that was like for me. I was like, this product doesn't actually kind of work, and I don't think the product ever gained any traction.
Nope.
And so since the product never worked, it didn't get any traction, it was a great idea. If you could have a computer summarize a story, that'd be great. But the fact is, I thought Blurbity, which was at the launch festival, which said, what is the most important paragraph in the story, and pulled the 7th graph and said, this is the meat and potatoes of the story, was more interesting than let's try to just rip out a bunch of words and make 2 very boring sentences. And I think Circa is even the best of those 3. And Circa is they have somebody read the story and basically summarize it into 7 little bite-sized chunks that you can flip. It's better than Flipboard. Circa is the winner in this race so far for me. And you can follow that story. So I follow the SpaceX kind of feed or whatever, like SpaceX story is how they do it. And I just opened it up the other day. I hadn't used it for 2 months. And it was like, oh, there's 3 more updates here. And they're little tiny updates, like the launch ticker in a way. And I think here's the thing. If Yahoo goes well for Marissa, they're going to look at this acquisition and say, oh, she made a lot of brilliant risks. She took a lot of brilliant risks. If Yahoo has like some event where it goes down and Marissa is ultimately fired or whatever, they're going to look at this as the jump the shark moment. I would not have made this purchase.
Not for this price either.
Certainly not for this price because it's a product with no traction. There's not much technology there. You should be able to rebuild this technology in 30 or 60 days. And if this kid winds up leaving in a year or 2, they better have him in a 4-year deal. If he leaves in under 2 years...
It's an 18-month deal.
If he leaves after 18 months, she is going to look really, really bad because she's going to look like she took $30 million of shareholder money and flushed it. Unless there's some patent or technology, and patents really don't work in this kind of space.
There's no technology here that...
So this is a bad acquisition.
I think it's a talent deal, yeah.
So she's going to. So if Anthony's right, it's a talent. She rises and falls with that. Now, here is though what I think is brilliant about Marissa. She is going out and saying, "Good idea, good team. Good idea, good team. 30, 20, 50, 30, 40. If she buys 50 companies for $30 million each, that's $1.5 billion. That's not a lot of money for Yahoo. if out of those 50 companies she buys on average for $30 million each, she gets one Pinterest or one YouTube or one Flickr or any of those, it pays for the 1.5. 10 times over.
Sort of like angel investing.
It's like angel investing, except she's buying all the people who are about to face the Series A crunch. I'm telling you, this company is exactly the kind of company that's facing a Series A crunch.
Well, and she bought a very telegenic, young, exciting person.
Yeah, but she can't put that. I mean, what does this say to the other Yahoo employees, Anthony, when they give $30 million or $10 million to whatever, $15 million to this 18 or 19-year-old, and then they're firing other people from working from home? What do you think it says?
I mean, I think that this is the tough spot I think they're in right now, and I do get the sense that part of them, there is supposed to be kind of a tough love message to, the current Yahoo employees, which is kind of like, there are some of you that we like really value and want you to stay, but we also think that some of you are not that great and not really A players, and if you are going to leave, we're okay with that. And so I think it's a hard line to walk. You can't obviously it'd be untrue, unfair, and also just dumb to like blanket condemn all the Yahoo employees, but I think there's also a sense, that most of the people I know feel like a lot of the most talented people at Yahoo have left already. So they're in this rebuilding period, and you have to, you can't sort of hide that.
They have 12,000 employees. Facebook has under 5,000. Anthony,
Right.
How many people does Marissa need to lay off, and when is she going to do it?
I have no idea.
3,027.
There you go.
Well, it's an obvious answer, Baratunde. Thank you.
Right.
You asked a
Yeah.
specific question. I gave a specific
Thank you.
answer. I don't know why
Baratunde plays
Anthony's
the game.
being so evasive.
Right.
on this.
I just want to be really general.
See,
You
but
want
the thing is,
numbers
Baratunde's
and like
opinion on this
ideas,
is
and
like half of
no.
Anthony's. Anthony, you should have an opinion on this. Come on, Anthony.
Yeah. I would no, I don't know. I mean, I think that I think that it's less about laying people off. I mean, from a bottom, it's however many she may need to lay off from a bottom line perspective. I think it's more about I think that she needs thousands more of talented people.
Yeah.
And if to make that happen, she needs to lay some people off. Then that's what she'll do.
At the time, one source inside Yahoo told us that the company should fire as many 10,000 of 18,000 full-time and part-time employees. Silicon Valley venture capitalist Mark Andreessen also latched on, publicly recommending Yahoo cut at least that many. So at some point, Mark Andreessen, and I think this is before, that was his advice to Marissa, cut 10,000 people. I mean, they just have way too many people to do anything. And I think what she's doing is she's adding the people first, putting them in charge of things, and then she's going to fire the people. So if you work at Yahoo News, like these 3 companies she's going to buy, that's the new Yahoo News team, you will be fired. Or you'll be working for them, and then at some point, they'll evaluate resources and cut half the people. So I think that she's probably, now that I think about it, I think Marissa's doing it exactly right. That would be the most logical way to do it. You can't fire people and then have all these problems and things blowing up. So you hire new bosses for them. You put the entrepreneurs in charge of the asylum. Inmates run the asylum, and you get rid of everybody else.
Well, a 17-year-old isn't really qualified to manage a lot of people, is he?
But he could manage product.
Okay.
Right? So you manage the
Interesting to
product,
see what happens.
and you put this other person in charge of managing the people.
So does this deal make Yahoo more attractive to other entrepreneurs who might be looking to sell their businesses?
What do you think, Baratunde? Is selling your company to Yahoo now like a cool thing as opposed to just a year ago, but pre-Marissa, you were a loser if you sold to Yahoo?
Would you sell to Yahoo?
I mean, not my current company, because I don't think that's the exit for us. There is no exit. You're in it for life. I would, but selling your company in general has got to trump whoever buys it. Like, you get a check or some stock valued at any millions of dollars. That's a big vote of confidence from a public company saying that what you're doing is great, so great that we want it. That's huge. And the whole
But if you had the
anti-Yahoo
chance to go to Yahoo or Google or Facebook, which a lot of people do, when Yahoo's interested, obviously that means more than one will be interested. Do you think the stigma is still there? That
I think
Yahoo versus
it
Google?
depends on the stigma against Yahoo. I don't know how far-reaching that is across the global footprint that is Yahoo. And when you think about things that Google has bought, and I'm a Gmail user, I love all kinds of Google products, but they bought a lot of things and haven't done much with them either. And they've started killing off things that people love. Maybe an opportunity for a segue. For me, it's if Yahoo wants to buy your thing and you've got a great new leader in there, Yahoo throws off a lot of cash. They're actually a profitable internet veteran company that has all kinds of businesses. if someone's got a weird vibe or buzz because they're not cool, I don't know. It's business first. So
Yeah, I don't know,
think
Anthony.
that's a
You buy
good
that
business
it's
deal.
business first? Because I think that entrepreneurs do care about where their legacy goes. I mean, what's the word on the street? Selling to Yahoo?
I think I think it depends on the entrepreneur, right? I think and the offer. I mean, I think that especially if you've sold a company before or you made a lot of money at Google, then you have a lot more freedom to say, hey, like I don't need to sell. I can kind of just do what I want. But like if you raised a seed round, you have put a lot of money on the line in this company, and somebody makes an offer, then you're probably not going to be looking at that, who's making the offer that closely. So I think it's very situational.
All right, let's do a last story here. How about Walmart with the creepy thing?
All right.
Let's do the Walmart creepy story.
Walmart creepy story. So Walmart is not testing yet the idea that you would have somebody come into the store and not only come to buy their own things, but carry home with them something somebody else bought online and deliver it to them. Right?
Okay.
So sort of like a TaskRabbit, Postmates kind of situation. So I'll give you a discount on the bill, Walmart says, if you bring this, box of groceries to this person who lives down the street from you, who just ordered
Which
it online.
also used to be known as being neighbors.
Right, except you wouldn't know your
No,
neighbor.
but we have to
Walmart.
turn it into a transaction, Jason. We have to make
Yeah, God forbid I brought milk to the
If
little
we don't
old
put
lady
a dollar
next
value
to me.
on it, it has no value.
Exactly.
So we have to leverage that. We have to have some consumption of your extra space in your car.
So they know that this would be a ways out, and there's
Leave
a
it
lot
to
of skepticism
leave it
about
to Walmart.
how well this would work and how big it could be and things
Leave
like
it
that.
to Walmart to take a trend like collaborative consumption and on demand and do it as stupidly as possible.
They haven't done anything. They're considering it.
I know, but they're putting it out there to try to get people's opinion on it. You should have just called me and I would have told you it's stupid.
So what they're doing already is
should do
same-day
that with all
delivery
things.
service with Walmart to go using
Of
their own
course.
trucks from their store.
Yes, that's the
That
way you
makes
do
sense.
it. Okay, here, number one, I don't want my neighbor knowing what I bought. Number two, what if they steal it? Number three, what if they take my apple and they lick it and put it back in the thing? Like, people are gross and weird and insane.
And there's insurance issues around being a delivery person.
Okay, and then there's another issue. Okay. If I do this 10 times a year for $60 each or 100 times a year for $6 each or whatever it is, and I get over the $600, am I getting paid am I an employee of Walmart? Am I getting $10.99?
No. You get a discount from
so
Walmart.
then it's but if you
don't
get
get money, no.
if you get enough discounts, the government will want tax on that. Just like with bartering and other things, like the government is like, okay, if there's some weird stuff going on here and it's actually like employment, like so if they said to you, you could come here and deliver groceries for Walmart and we'll give you cash, we'll give you store credit, they would consider that taxable
That's
income.
Sure.
So at what point does a discount flip over to becoming income is the question, right? And so anyway, what do you guys think of this insane idea? Not that I want to poison the well, but I mean, is it stupid?
I think they should have existing Walmart employees do it and give them insurance, and that'll be how you get that. Walmart has a weird way of exploiting maximally, and they're an interesting, massive company with, I'm sure, many good things and many horrible things that are going on.
There's
but
no
my
good things
biggest
going on at Walmart.
impression of them is, coming into a town, knocking, the little guy off the ropes, paying their employees just low enough that they still have to lean on government services to make good on what used to be offered by an employer. Those employees then have to shop at Walmart. Now they have to deliver for Walmart to their neighbors too. It's just like that capturing the customer is a whole new meaning for this company.
Okay, how many of you have actually shopped at a Walmart in the last year?
The last year. No.
Like 4 years ago at Sundance, I went to a Walmart. It was soul crushing.
Okay, because for a lot of people, that's the only way to buy affordable groceries.
And I had to do it.
What did you say, Anthony?
Oh, I said I was on a business trip. It was the only thing open. But back when I actually had like a political conscience, I would never ever shop at Walmart.
And what was the feeling like when you went through the Walmart and you see socks for 99 cents and all this other stuff? What did you feel like, Anthony? Take us there. Take us to that moment.
it was a pretty dark place. No, I mean, it is. It's not a place that you're excited to shop. I mean, you go for the pricing and for the selection, but like, it's not. It's a pretty soul crushing place. I mean, it's obviously when you say that. I mean, it's. Because I'm in a position where that's sort of it's a luxury to be able to say that, but it is a soul-crushing place.
It is.
My brother does all his grocery shopping at Walmart because it's cheaper and you have a family to feed. And then certain things, produce, you can find at other grocery stores, it's better. But
it's just this whole, I think I'm a capitalist. So, I do think capitalism is a great force for good in the world. Ultimately, incentives are good. But I do feel like places like Walmart take that to like a level that's just so draconian and heavy-handed that it gets absurd. Like, they hire people and then they don't give them benefits, or they hire them for 5 hours less than the benefit amount. It's just like they're just constantly you can't grind people to a level that just makes it miserable for everybody. This is why I think the minimum wage and stuff like that, it's like it's kind of an important discussion in the country, like minimum wage and healthcare. Like these are very important discussions.
Maslow's pyramid, right? You need certain basics to
I think it's a tax issue. What should happen is people who make under $50,000 a year, or like under $30,000 a year, should pay like a token tax of $100, just so they feel like they're contributing. And then like, it should just be if you're in that poverty level, we just don't even charge you tax. Like you just keep your money.
No
God bless
sales
you.
tax.
No sales. You can't do that because then poor people would buy the groceries for rich people. Rich people are like, go inside that store and buy me stuff.
Right. It's a problem with any of those. Yeah. It's like
which I think is kind of already happening with
right
food stamps to a certain extent. Go buy me some Marlboro Lights and I'll give you food stamps for what you're buying. Yeah. But anyway, kill yourself, Walmart. I gotta stop saying kill yourself. Walmart. I can say kill yourself to Walmart because they're a company and it's clear that's a joke.
And
all right.
Walmart Labs in the Valley, what they're trying to do with reinventing.
Whatever. I mean, you know what? Walmart coming to the Valley is, it's just lame. Like if you're a lame.
But Samsung coming to the Valley is not.
No.
Or Ford coming to the Valley is not.
No. I don't know about Ford, but Samsung is not because they're innovators and they do really cool stuff. But Walmart coming there and they're like value destroyers and they're just cheesy and like lame. Yeah. Kill yourself, Walmart. I just don't like the Walmart. I just feel like
they won't be sponsoring the program anytime soon.
No. I would never let them sponsor the program. Target.
Different.
Totally different. They have red accents around the store. It's a huge difference.
What if Walmart officially pronounced Walmart?
If it was, if they went Walmart and they put an accent, if they put an E with an accent grave on the end, I'd probably want to go. If they put like a blue stripe around the place and they put an accent, I would go.
And they sell $129 iPad mini covers.
Exactly. All right, this has been a great episode of This Week in Startups. Thank you to Baratunde. Everybody follow Baratunde on Twitter, BARATUNDE, and everybody check out his hackathon, which you can find where, Baratunde?
comedyhackday.org.
There it is, comedyhackday.org, and it's taking place April 6th and 7th at Twitter.
Yeah.
That's why he's in San Francisco.
Oh, you know what the cool thing is? Dick Costello is a comedian.
That's right.
He did stand-up for like a decade.
No, we're really excited that
is he going to perform?
Giving us the space. He's not. I think he's actually out of town that weekend.
Oh.
Plus, he and I can't be in the same room. It's just too much talent. So
it would explode. I love it. God, why didn't it take you 4 years to get on the program? I'll tell you a funny story. So before Dick Costello was famous, he was running a company called FeedBurner. She sold to Google.
Yep.
And it kind of like, he was considered kind of like a nerdy guy. FeedBurner was considered like a dorky business. I mean, he sold it for $100 million, so he's obviously not. But he was like, if you saw Dick Costello at a party, he'd be like, Dick Costello, whatever. He's doing like that RSS feed thing. It's kind of a loser, Like, it would be like kind of like, whatever, So we're speaking at an event. I'm Mr. Weblogs Inc. and Gadget, whatever. And so like, I'm the headliner. He was before me. And he gets on and he does a half hour of stand-up and he kills it. And then at the end, no. And then he ends it and he goes, and we put ads in RSS feeds, which is kind of like really dorky, but it's a good business. Thank you. And he gets off. So I get on stage and I'm like, what are you doing to me, you bastard? Like, I got to get up here and talk about myself for half an hour and you did a comedy routine? I'm like, I don't know any jokes. I'm not funny. I'm not self-deprecating. I'm a narcissist. I'm there's nothing...
You have a Brooklyn accent. You have a Brooklyn accent.
That's where the charm ends.
That's talk real fast.
That and $2 and what does the subway cost, Baratunde? I'm so disconnected from reality. $8? What is it? $17
per ride. It's a child now. You have to give birth, and then you donate your child to the labor camps underground New York City.
I used to, when I lived in New York, I used to hop the turnstile when I was in college.
Now you get shot for that.
You should have been arrested for that.
Back then, you didn't have to hop the turnstile. All you had to do was pull the turnstile halfway back, and you just had to watch your nuts, like the TSA. Baratunde, that's called a callback, okay?
I've read about those on the internet.
You're supposed to say nice callback,
all
right? So anyway, listen, Baratunde will not smack you in the nuts. and go to his thing, Comedy Hackathon.
ComedyHackDay.org or
I'm not going to get fired for
cultivatedwit.com.
making the nuts comments. I mean, oh, wait, I work for myself.
You might have people protest.
And what
the
else?
show.
What's the name of your company again, Baratunde? I got to give you a
CultivatedWit.com.
Cultivated Wit. So if you have a great product and you want to laugh it up and you want to have recharge your social media because your social media is not working, you need to contact Baratunde and have a professional do it for you. Look at the success he had at The Onion. Everybody follow at Baratunde. How's that for a good ad? Good ad?
That's a great ad.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I couldn't buy that. Thank
Capture
you.
the power of comedy and make your product loved. And Anthony Anthony H.A. on
You think he hasn't heard
TechCrunch.
that before?
Never. This is the
Never.
first time.
Listen, Anthony you're the best part of TechCrunch. Certainly the best writer right
sir.
now. I'll say that. People tell you you're the best writer on TechCrunch, right?
Oh, all the time. All the time.
Of the
No,
staff
we got a
right
lot
now.
of we have a lot of fierce competition at TechCrunch. I think there's a lot of good writers at TechCrunch.
Yeah, but I mean,
I would not.
How
I
would
would
you
not. If
compete?
I had to name one, I would say Sarah Perez is the best writer at TechCrunch. See, so.
All right, fair enough. I mean,
but
how could you compete with Alexia on 3 glasses of red wine?
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm gonna
Can't
let you.
answer
I'm gonna leave that there.
Yeah, exactly. That's a pretty funny post. Anyway, listen, everybody follow Anthony Great job on the program, first time here, and everybody go check out TechCrunch. Still a leader, #1 on the leaderboard on TechMeme, and the largest technology blog everywhere. I really appreciate you coming on the program, Anthony
Thanks for having me.
All right, Kirin, you did a great job with the news and chiming in on your opinion on all things technology news and with the Adria situation. And let's make this happen. Let's get Adria to come on the show.
We'll see what we can do.
Let's get the dopey guy who made the stupid joke, and let's solve it. And I'll fly them out. They're not gonna stay over in a hotel or anything. Just fly in for the day, do the show. I'll have dinner. I'll have lunch with them. This
Okay.
is it. We'll have a lunch. We'll do the show.
Off the record lunch.
Just a little, we'll have a little off. I take them for sushi. We'll have a nice sushi lunch.
Right.
You know, like A-class all the way, J-Cal style. And then we'll come back and do the show.
Okay.
You reach out to both of them. They'll do it.
what
It'll be
we
like,
do.
then we can start to move forward.
And this is part of what she wants to do. She wants to move forward.
So we'll just set it up for maybe like a couple weeks from now. Everything dies down, and then we do it. I don't want to be exploitive about it, but I do feel like talking does help. Like I think today's episode is probably the most intelligent commentary on the whole thing.
it makes you feel better that we had this discussion?
Of course, it makes me feel better because I don't think people are having the honest. I mean, look how honest our guests were.
Yeah,
Anthony was a
very.
little reserved because he doesn't. Anthony doesn't like he works for TechCrunch and AOL. He's got to maintain his journalistic integrity and stuff like that. So he's a little bit.
I just don't like getting yelled at that much. Well, I get a little bit yelled at, but
Right, I'm just.
I don't
Listen,
wanna get
Anthony,
too
you're not
high.
supposed to be on the program anymore. This is the post show. Jesus, the post show, Anthony. Come on.
Cut his feed.
Yeah.
Cut his
Cut
feed.
it. You have to be careful. You work at AOL. He can't just come out and be like, "Here's my opinion." Like he's got to think about it and represent the brand properly. And Baratunde, he's a total disaster. I mean, he's gonna just say anything.
I don't
That
have to
guy-
think about
He can do
anything. I
whatever he
rarely
wants.
think. It's expensive.
Oh, we still here, Baratunde. Sorry. No, he's just trying to drum up. He's trying to be fun. That's why it's a good combination. You got one guy who's pushing the envelope over here, and you got the other guy pushing the envelope over here. You got you reading the news straight down the middle, and then you got me orchestrating like a what? What is that? Machiavellian?
You're just ping ponging everywhere. You're like
Absolutely.
zig, zig, zag.
Machiavellian. What do they call that? What's that? Svengali? I'm like a Svengali.
Oh please.
Getting everybody worked up and to talk about the issue. No, but it's good to talk about the issue. Because then this is the thing I love about radio and the show, is that intent is so clear. And when I did those 2 posts on like the meritocracy thing, the thing I regret most about that is I should have just talked about it on the show. When I talk about it on the show, people hear the intent of my voice. They understand I'm a smart guy. They understand like I'm not trying to like, I'm not trying to like say this group of people's this or that people, it's just honest humans talking.
It actually means you have to listen.
Precisely. Yeah, that's actually a good point. When it's an article, you can just be like, "Oh, they wrote something on race. I'll react how I want to react."
I'll read the
without
first
reading
sentence.
it. I'll read the first sentence and then react. Like I had so many black people attacking me on Twitter after Complex magazine listed me as like one of the 10 worst people. Like I think I'm in. Baratunde, what does it say if Complex magazine says I'm one of the 10 worst white people?
That probably means you're one of the 10 worst white people.
Oh shit!
They have an official license.
$20 for charity.
No, Complex
right
is
here.
the arbiter of all things good and bad. So their lists, as all lists, are to be taken as gospel.
Well, what is complex in the black community? Like, because I used to be big in the black community. People liked me.
You were like Bill Clinton.
I was.
Oh, yeah, that's hilarious.
No.
And for someone who's not supposed
He's
still
finishing
be
the show
here.
by digging himself in again.
I'll tell you.
He's like, I used to be big in the black
You want to know
community.
what somebody got really upset about
Donald
me?
Trumpian right there. That's good.
Exactly. I'm very big in the black. No, I had Biggie Smalls as my avatar. You know, like on the anniversary of his death or whatever. I'm from Brooklyn. Like, I identify with Biggie. Like, I kind of feel like we're both from Brooklyn, same time period. We both came up in the world. We both mastered the game. You know, we both lived a hard life. I kind of, like, identify with... Like, you asked me who my entrepreneurial heroes are. I said, like, Jay-Z and Biggie Smalls. Like, that's who I identify with, honestly. More than Steve Jobs. And so I had that as my avatar. And somebody's like, it's racist for you to have Biggie Smalls as your avatar. And I was like, why? We're the same. And they're like, you're not the same as Biggie Smalls. I'm like, yeah, we are. We both grew up in Brooklyn. We both, tried to come up in the world. We both fought our way up. We both dodged, listen, how many times have people tried to put a hit on me? Anyway, whatever. I guess, Baratunde, is it racist for me to put Biggie Smalls as my avatar for a month?
Well, it depends on the month.
What,
Do you
Christmas?
do it during February?
For Black
Exactly.
If I put it for Black History Month, is that wrong?
That's weird.
It'd be weird. My favorite Black
I don't know if it's
American,
racist.
Biggie
I think
Smalls.
it's just weirdest.
Weird.
Listen, man, I don't know about the complex list. I didn't actually see them rank you, so I have to read what they said about
Yeah,
you.
go read that and let me know where I stand.
Yeah, but I will. I'll follow up with you offline on that. And to everybody, thank you for having me.
You were great.
The tech stuff was fun and good topics, Anthony.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll see you. You're local. Maybe I'll see you at Comedy Act Day.
Yeah.
And we're doing tonight. Whoever's listening, why not? We're doing a Whiskey Friday at Whiskey Thieves on Geary Street, the Tenderloin, 6 to 9 p.m.
Okay, there you go.
Any viewers who like whiskey, you pay your own way. It's cash bars. I'm not buying it.
Oh, hell no,
But
not
that'd be
whiskey.
smart.
Yo, I'll take
Comedians
Macallan
and
18.
tech people.
What do you
Yeah,
drink?
it's
What do you
great.
drink on the whiskey side? I drink a Macallan 18. What do you drink?
I am all over the place. Right now, I'm really liking a
Oban?
Bullet Rye. Bullet Rye. Yeah.
I'm a Macallan 18 with 3 ice cubes.
Oh, yeah. I hop around. I'm a nomad.
It opens it up. Just like lets it breathe a little bit. I like it. All right, listen.
All right.
Extraordinary program. Thank you. It's like the 7th time I tried that
Thank you.
program. Thank you at Squarespace. Thank you at MailChimp for making all things great in the world, i.e. this program today, happen. And I'm exhausted. And thank you, Kirin. You did a wonderful job as always. And we'll see you next time on This Week in Startups.